All righty. See here. It says we're live, but I always wait because LinkedIn is crazy. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
test this out. So I caught up just between me and you while no one's here yet. I caught up with a former staff engineer. He spoke at one of Gun IO's virtual meetups, and I was like, "Are they ever going to do anything on the streaming side of things?" He was like, "No, probably not." He was like, "There's not
Hmm.
like enough. There's not enough volume of streamers on LinkedIn." I was like, "Well," I said, "That's my platform, so like, I really wish they would innovate." He goes, "Yeah, there's no roadmap for that." I was like, "Sounds good."
That's a bummer because LinkedIn, man, the engagement on there has been just great.
I know. I know. He said like the ones like you, he said there's definitely a few of y'all for sure, but he goes like not enough to put enough of a priority around it. So
Hmm.
anyways. Well, we are live on LinkedIn. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for this episode. I've known David for a long time. I had the opportunity to meet David 10, 12 years ago. I mean, I've been in the industry for 12 years and you were one of Scott's connections and Scott, I think, introduced us really early on. So I mean, I think I've known David in my circle at least for 10 years. And so I'm really excited. You know, uh there's people that like I know and I see, and sometimes I just don't ask them to come on the show because like I see them all the time. And like one day I was like, oh shoot, I've never asked David to come on the show before. So like immediately I was like, David, let's hang out. And of course, fortunately, David said yes. And I'm really excited. I'm really glad that he did because I think this conversation this morning is going to be very applicable to a lot of people. So before we dive into the conversation this morning, please say hey. Would love to hear from you. The reason why I tell people to say hey is because this is a networking platform, and I'm sure David and I are going to talk about networking today. This is literally a way where you can just like hang out in your pajamas and learn from David. You don't need to tell me if you're in your pajamas, but I'm just saying you can like show up, but you can also network. I've had a lot of people who have found mentor mentees off this show. I've had one guy find a job off this show. A CTO was on this show. He was really engaging with another guest. And then a few conversations later, a few months later, when a job opened up, that person got the job, which is really, really cool. So please comment, say, hey, we're not in our Apple Vision Pro goggles yet. And so we're not in the metaverse yet. So I don't know if you're watching, if you don't comment. Also, it's really good to hear like where people are commenting from. Like we had people from like South Africa and England and Spain on the show last week. So that's really, really cool. Second thing, ask questions. David is a wealth of knowledge. I think his story today is going to resonate with a lot of individuals. So if you have questions about how he navigated the last year in his job search, of course, he'll be glad to answer those. This is the one time to get David to pick David's brain without him charging you for it. So, and then the third thing is I want to celebrate you today. If you've done something great, if you've deployed production on Friday and you didn't burn the house down, if you if you got a raise, a promotion, please throw it up in the chat. I want to celebrate you. I feel like we as individuals, we're always on to the next thing, right? We get the job. When's my next title? I get the title change. When's my next raise? When's my next, you get the raise. And so I want to slow down a little bit and celebrate you today. So if you have had something that you are very proud of from a work perspective, please throw it up in the chat. I want to celebrate you. Want to get to two of my partners this morning. First off, that conference. David's spoken there. I've spoken there. It's great. It's the official coffee sponsor of the show. Clark, thank you for the beans. It is very good. You can use the code GC2 for a few bucks off your bag of beans. But the call for presenters, papers, whatever it's called, CFPs, is open for Wisconsin. Go check that out. I'm very, very excited for that. And then finally, want to give another shout out to my platinum sponsor, Render ATL. If you've not been there, highly recommended. June 12th through 14th. It is a party thing, South by Southwest, Coachella. It is a heck of a time. And use the code GC2.0 for a few bucks off. I believe I have a code. If not, DM me and I will make sure that happens. So check out Render ATL again. Render ATL, thank you for picking up the show. Brian, it's good to see you. Emmett, the beard is incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's David. Didn't you post recently, like with like no beard, or it was like a very short beard? Did I see a picture recently you posted?
Possibly. I
Okay,
mean, I
I was like,
haven't
whoa,
haven't
this doesn't even
always
look
had
like
this
you.
beard.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So it's an incredible beard. Taya, it's good to see you. I wish I was in my pajamas. Absolutely. Fun little fact, not that y'all need to know. I wear the same two sweatpants every single day. Not like two sweatpants together, but like I have like the same sweatpants and it's just two of them and I wear them every single day. So it saves a lot of money. Becky, it's good to see you. Not that y'all really need to know that. Brett, it's great to see you as well. Closes March 1st. Yes, for that conference. Absolutely. Christian, it's good to see you as well. Christian's from Oklahoma. Christian, I remember that, believe it or not. Cool. All right. Nothing run my mouth. David, let's get the people what they want, man. Who are you? What do you do? And we'll go from there.
Hey, thanks for having me, Taylor. This is really quite an opportunity, and I love what you're doing. I love you've kept this up for quite some time now.
4
so
years. 4
glad
years next month.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. So my name's David. If you don't know me, I go by Reverend Geek everywhere on social media and my website, reverendgeek.com. I am a software developer turned developer advocate, developer relations, developer marketing, developer advocacy, all that stuff. And I've recently, as in like the last 7 or 8 years, become an illustrator. And I do a lot of talks, and I use hand-drawn illustrations as part of that, and I fell in love with it, and that's now become, part of who I am, is doing silly illustrations of people and things and dad jokes and all the fun stuff.
We would talk a lot about branding and networking on this show, bring on a lot of dev advocates, and we talk about the importance of it. Man, I tell you what, between your beard and bacon, like that's David. When everyone says David Neal, I'm like beard and bacon. So there you go. Bacon flavored beard balm. Have you ever thought about maybe copywriting that?
I need to, I should probably do that.
I don't know. I don't know.
But I've really
want me smelling like bacon when she kisses me, but hey, you know what? Who knows? Maybe she will. I don't know.
Yeah. I've really leaned into the personal branding of the beard and bacon. So I've got bacon stuff like all in my background.
I love that.
I don't know if you can see all that. But I started growing out my beard around, I think it was 2016.
Okay.
And, about 6 or 9 months into it, I was doing a lot of conferences, and it just became like, well, I guess there's no, I'm at the point of no return. So many people know me because of the beard. Now I can't go back.
Yeah, so. It would be startling if I saw you without the beard. I would be very taken aback. All right, David, I hard hitting questions first thing in the morning. I've always wanted to ask you this. So I'm doing it publicly. I'm very, very excited for it. How do you like your bacon? Right. I have not heard you talk about this. I haven't heard you post about this. I think this is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about this morning.
Well, I will say that limp, floppy bacon is an abomination.
What? No, it's not, David. No, it's not. Are you serious?
It's got to be crispy. It's got to be like to that point where when you put it in your mouth, it just melts. It just, No,
David, I'm a big
not
slap it on the stove top a few times to give it to me. I'm good.
No. That's awful. Okay. So I never could get into oven bacon because if you use
crisp, right?
If it's thick cut bacon and you put it in the oven, it doesn't matter. You can cook it until it's burnt and it will still not be crispy.
There you go. Crispy bacon.
Crispy bacon for the win.
David is right. Crispy crumbly. Taylor's wrong. Dead wrong. Dang, Richie, come on, man. All right. Well, I'm glad I asked. I'm really all right. Here's another question. What's been like? Do you have a place, a restaurant? Maybe it's just what you like. Do you have a brand, a type of bacon that you love, or a restaurant that really makes a good one? Anything like that?
Yes. Well, my go-to is Wright's, WRIGHT. You can. Okay. I did this thing one time where I took it's called like a 30-day bacon challenge, and I ate nothing but bacon for 30 days. And so I cooked. I cooked a lot of bacon. I ate about 4 pounds of bacon a day, and I lost 18 pounds in 30 days. That's like the ultimate keto. And
What?
yeah, so I was cooking, you know, large quantities of bacon every day. And so I was going and
When
buying
was
and
this?
trying all these different kinds of bacon. And Wright's pecan smoked was my absolute favorite, but I haven't been able to find the pecan smoked anymore. So
Okay.
it's either hickory or applewood.
Okay.
Uh, as far as like restaurants go, there's things like Benton's bacon that's really it's so strong. It's
It's
like
so strong. Do
it's
you
so
like it?
strong. It's in small amounts. Like
Okay.
it just
Yeah. Okay, good.
so
Ben's up
friend
here in Nashville.
yeah a friend of mine that I used to work with in Nashville, he would say it tastes like it's been cured in a barn fire.
For real though.
It is so strong, but Frothy Monkey, which I used to go to quite a bit, they have an omelet called the Architect, where you can basically build your own omelet. And every time I would get Benton's bacon, peppers and onions, and feta cheese, and it
Good.
just amazing.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Richie comes in here and goes, David, you're still in cardiac arrest. Go to the doctor. I love that. Bacon for 30 days. You probably still have lard left over from that. 4 pounds a day as well. Yeah. And then David comes in taking notes for the grocery list.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you probably tune in. You're like, all right, Taylor, the title for this is A Tough Last Year, but you're talking about bacon. So we're not going to talk about bacon for the whole 30 minutes, even though we probably could. David, let's dive into the last year, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kicked me in the mouth. I think it's kicked you in the mouth. I think it's kicked a lot of people in the mouth. I think I saw one of my recruiter friends who's got a pretty large following put out a survey on LinkedIn, and it was like, I think 1,200 or 1,500 people surveyed that they went through a job. 75% of those people went through a job change in the last year. So, I mean, it's been brutal for a lot of people. If you just kind of want to talk about the last year at a super high level and some thoughts, and then we can dive in a little deeper.
Yeah. So for me, the past 12 months has been super humbling, is the best way I can describe it. Because I've been pretty successful in my career. We can talk about community and networking and community, stuff. And that has been such an amazing asset for me. And in the past, it's been pretty easy. If I decided, hey, I want to look for a new job or something like that, I wouldn't have any trouble at all. I could, have my pick of options and have lots of really cool conversations and, pretty laid back about it. But last year, as so many others were, I was laid off last summer, and I thought, well, yeah, no big deal. I should be able to make, I've got lots of connections in the tech industry. I had no idea. Of course, there were so many people that were laid off that I was in competition with more than usual.
Yeah.
And I didn't have, I think at one time, I don't know how many. I use a Kanban board to keep track of all the things that I've got going on, and and the jobs that I'm, especially. And I think I was interviewing one week like 15 different companies, and it was brutal. Like, it was the bar for interview processes and requirements and the different types of projects, and just some of them I had to say, look, this sounds like an amazing opportunity, but I don't have the time or the energy to complete your requirements for the job interview process. Like, you want me to do a 40-hour project? Seriously?
Did you really get one that really
I got, yeah, a 40-hour project, and they like, oh, we'll pay you $25 an hour. And like, that's not what I normally get paid.
Jeez.
And I'm like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it would be amazing to work for your company, but if you can't find a different way to assess that I can do this job
Yeah.
than a 40-hour project, then we're done here.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Um, I have this whole body of work. You want to go look at my
Well,
some of the stuff I've done and make some judgment. Anyway, it was incredibly humbling and so exhausting. And really, when it came to the end, I was like, I need a job, and I am so tired of this. I took a job that looked great on the surface, uh, and to be clear, the company I went to work for is an awesome company. There's a lot of really smart, amazing people that
yeah.
work there, and they're doing. They've got a really amazing platform, and they're doing great things. And I expect that they will be very successful. But the role that I took was not a good fit. And I think it was a combination of like some assumptions that I made and um, just some miscommunication, misunderstandings of what was to be expected.
Yeah.
I was looking at like, oh, this is a really cool brand. This would be a lot of fun. Um, and then, but the role itself was not a good fit. And so
Yeah.
I was a month into the new job. I was like depressed. Like this is not working out. This is not the kind of work that I want to do. This is not getting me excited to do this work. So the last 6 months for me has been a lot of soul searching
Mm.
and on a personal note, full transparency, I lost my mom in December.
Okay.
Not many people know that, but that's another contributing factor. Is like life happens.
Yeah.
Things are happening on a personal level that other folks don't see,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of contributing factors to that go into. Man, I've been struggling.
Yeah.
I've really been struggling on a personal level. I haven't been able to work at the level that I'm used to.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to get as motivated and excited about doing things as I've been in the past. The conferences that I go to that have normally brought me so much encouragement and excitement and energy, they haven't
Yeah.
as much. There is one exception I would love to talk about, but
Sure.
that's just
Sure.
something I love to geek out about.
Sure.
And about a week ago, I was prepared to talk to my boss at my previous company and say, look, I had like this long document of like all the soul searching that I had done. Like I knew I wasn't a good fit for this. I knew I wasn't performing like they needed me to. And I had like all these, ideas and suggestions on how we could fix the situation. And I get on a call with him, and immediately the head of HR joins the call. And like, oh, well, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's not the way I wanted it to work out, but
Sure.
here I am. I'm now on the job market again.
Yeah. Well, first off, I am sorry for your loss. I did not know, so thank you for sharing, and I appreciate that. But I am sorry for your loss. There's a lot to unpack here. Let me ask you this: what are you doing right now to help yourself, like trying to get through this, right? Because I think a lot of people, I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, and so
Yeah.
what are you doing right now to do a little soul searching? Anything that seems to be working for you? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I took some extra time off over the holidays to really sit down with my wife We've had lots and lots of conversations. She's helped to kind of she's asked the kinds of questions that really have dug out of me, like what is it that I really want to do? What brings me joy and what helps me to come alive? To talk about past successes and to like use that as encouragement to like, yes, I could get back to a place where, I've got, some kind of role that's really meaningful to me. Um, so fast forward to about 2 weeks ago when I'm getting ready to like put all this stuff together to talk to my boss about how we can move forward. My wife asked me, she goes, would you be willing to see a counselor?
Hmm.
And I immediately broke into tears.
Yeah.
Like, because it's tough to admit.
100%.
It's tough to say, I need some help.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I haven't taken that step yet, but I've got like she's helped me to get a list of counselors in my area that are within driving distance.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got a short list of folks that I'm planning to reach out very soon.
That's awesome.
And see where that goes. One that's a particular interest to me is they list themselves as a life coach.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that's what I need right now. I need some life coaching. I've done coaching and mentoring and managing teams and all that stuff over my career. And it's like, I could use some of that right now.
Oh, 100%. Well, and I think you bring up a good point. I mean, I think, I think especially the individuals who are at these conferences like yourself and speaking, I mean, we're drivers, right? Like we're just go, go, go. And you work at a certain level. And I mean, this happened to me in 2018. I mean, I crashed and burned and hit depression for the first time in my entire life. Like, my counselor, our marriage counselor was like, you need to go find a counselor, because I just was in an awful spot. And man, when I feel like as men, I can only speak on the male side of things, but I feel like as men, we're just always looking out for others, and we're so driven in our careers that I feel like sometimes we like poke our head up and we're completely empty.
Yeah.
We're completely empty. And I feel like that's when we need to go rely on others, especially a counselor, because we can very much feel very alone. Very, very alone, which is what my keynote was at that conference last year, which is because, again, having these conversations, everybody feels alone, and that's just not the case. We're all going through it together.
Yeah. And that's the tendency of men in particular, is to like be self-reliant, and to isolate, and
100%.
to have this false sense of pride that was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody's help. And that the other lie is like, well, nobody understands what I'm going through. Like, right. Yes, there are so many people who are going through the same thing that if you would open up and connect with others, you'll soon find some support.
100%. So you said something that I'm glad you said, and I've been talking about a lot, is taking some time off, right? Because I feel like a lot of people are in a really bad place and they just try to force it, right? They go back in the job search and their life is weighing on them, and it can kind of come through the interview process. Yeah. What are some other realizations that maybe you found, just even about yourself with the job search, that could potentially somebody else, could learn from you, or maybe even think about?
Yeah. Well, one thing that's become crystal clear for me personally is how much I enjoy writing code. How much, there's so many other things that I do as part of my role in developer relations. It could be writing content or going to events or speaking. And, I love to do illustrations and stuff whenever I can. And there's just, there's so many different activities. But anytime I get to sit at a keyboard and get to like focus on writing code, that creative process, and the rest of the world just disappears.
Hmm.
You know, when you get into that zone, the same thing can happen with like illustrations and music for me as well. It's like that's a little bubble of like
Yeah.
this world where I can just play around, I can have fun, I can, you know, solve problems and just for a few hours at a time or something like that, I can focus on this thing and not have to think about anything else. And it, it seems silly because I've spent, you know, my pretty much my entire career writing code, doing stuff in tech, and to just now come to the realization of like, man, I really love doing this.
Yeah.
And you know, every time I get an opportunity to like be heads down writing code, I have a good time, and I come away most of the time excited. Sometimes you run into, you know, of course,
Sure. Brick walls.
bugs or whatever that can be super frustrating, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm pretty patient. I have the gift of, you know, that's one of the things that's helped me so much is like, just keep trying, keep trying. But yeah, when I was working for my previous company, Pluralsight, and I was doing a lot of content and videos and streaming and all this stuff, I had this opportunity where I got to create a trivia game for AWS reInvent, and it was a idea from my boss, and I was like, yes, I want to do that. And took me about 2 or close to 3 months of you know, mostly coding, and I had so much fun. And then to see it being used and being so successful, and so many people who delighted in that and were excited to to see
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
use it. It's like, this is what I was made for.
That's awesome. I love that, man. I love that. Would you say so you got away from the code then?
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah.
And especially in this last role, like I was talking about, how it wasn't really a good fit. That was like the eye-opening thing, was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, I've gotten, you know, this role puts me in a position where I'm no longer, developers aren't my target audience. Software is not what I'm expected to create.
Yeah.
There's nothing about software development, and that's what I thrive on, and that's what I, you know, at this stage in my career, I don't want to, you know, build an entirely new community or invest in an entirely new thing. I want to continue to leverage the skills and community that I already have and that I've invested in.
What would be your biggest piece of advice for folks who have gotten laid off, are looking for a job right now, and are hearing this and be like, man, like, you know, this, I don't know if I've ever sat down and figured out exactly what I wanted. I mean, what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, one is, it is tough. I can now understand what a struggle it is. That, like I said, this has been a very humbling experience for me, and now I empathize with other folks who are really having a hard time interviewing with dozens, if not, in some cases, I've seen people say that they have interviewed at over 100 companies, you know, in their search. Like, that is just mind-boggling. So I would say, one, keep going.
Yeah.
You never know where that breakthrough is going to come. There's and sometimes, yeah, you may have to like take something that's not ideal in order to like be able to get to that next level and that next step. Um, Finding of folks in the community who are in similar situations, or maybe not similar situations, but who like to geek out about the same things that you do, can
Right.
be a source of encouragement. Um, the kind of the inventory that I took over the last few weeks of like what have I done in the past? What has made me like come alive, that I've been so excited to do. What are help identify some of those things, like, oh, it may be completely, you can't see the forest for the trees. Like me,
Right.
is like, oh, well, that's completely obvious. And I hadn't really, articulated it until I realized how important that was to me.
Yeah.
So, taking inventory of what you've done in the past that's helped you to be excited and hopeful about the work that you were doing, that can, help you to identify who is it that you want to work for. Another thing is, one of the things I'm trying to do this time around is like,
Yeah.
okay, these are the job openings that are out there. I'm not so excited about, most of them. It's like, I don't think I want to work for this company or whatever. Well, what are the companies you would love to work for?
Yeah.
Even if they don't have a job listed on their careers page or something like that, is like, what are the companies that you would just absolutely love to
Hmm.
to to be a part of? Make that list, and then what is it about those companies that excite you? One, you never know, if you find someone and reach out to them and say, um, you could end up landing a job that never gets published, that
Yeah.
never, just making a connection, saying, this is the kind of, I would love to work there. What could I do? Is like, oh, well, we've been thinking about hiring somebody for this team. Like, okay, you get, first shot at
Absolutely.
being that candidate. And then also, are there other companies that have similar characteristics or profiles
Yes.
to that? That's like, okay, well, it's not. I'm going to take Microsoft, for example. Maybe you would love to work for Microsoft, and that's just been a life dream of yours. Well, what is it about Microsoft that you really like? And then, are there other companies that maybe not so well known that have some of those same characteristics?
Yeah.
And it might be like a stepping stone. That's another thing too, is like career development is like every opportunity is another step towards something amazing that you haven't yet
I love that.
experienced.
I love that. Absolutely. That's so good. I had a conversation like this a week or two ago on the show. And want to give a shout out to Dominic. He's not here this morning, at least per the chat. But he and I, we were talking about this thing where companies want employers who are pretty hyped up about what they do, right? Because there's so many people, and if you have a specific passion, so Dominic's passion is like hiking and like the environment and like doing stuff outside. So, I made an intro to him with a startup that I know that's trying to help the environment. But like, if he's reaching out to these folks saying, "Hey, my passion's all this," that's going to help him stand out more than if I did. I hate the outdoors. I'm not a camping type guy, right? My camping is like in a Hilton, right? I'm just going to admit it. So for me, like, I'm not going to have the passion to work at environmental friendly companies. but Dominic is, right. So Dominic's going to be the better candidate because he is going to have more enthusiasm. He can pull from more parts of his history. So
Yeah.
again, I think that's a great point. I think that's a fantastic point. Why can't I see other comments? I don't know. Probably LinkedIn's buggy, James, to be totally honest with you. James, it's good to see you. What else? Any more thoughts on the job search? Because I do want to hit public speaking real fast before we wrap it up.
Sure. Let's talk about public speaking.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Public speaking. So you are obviously a notorious speaker. You've been in the conference circuit for many years. One of your best talks was that how to public speak without barfing on your shoes? Isn't that it?
Yes.
Yeah. So like it's a fantastic talk. You said something backstage, and I'm gonna let you say it about public speaking and what it can do. So can you just say that thing, and then let's talk about public speaking for a hot second? What it can do for your career?
Yeah. So I have become just totally convinced that public speaking or any significant involvement in community is a superpower. It is something that sets you apart, that creates connections and opportunities that you would never, ever imagine of. So I got started in public speaking, I guess, more than 10 years ago now. And if I could go back and talk to me then, like, and give myself a sneak peek of like what the possibilities are, what the opportunities are that are a direct result of getting involved in the community are. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. One of the stories I love to tell is that years after I was already, involved in giving lots of talks all over, I participated in some hackathons. And every hackathon that I participated in, my team came away with the prize. And to the point I was like, I was feeling bad for the other teams. It wasn't because we had some better idea. It wasn't because we had accomplished more. In one case, I think we had absolutely hit a wall and didn't get a thing done the entire weekend that we were hacking on this idea. It was the fact that I had presentation skills, that I had the ability to speak to the judges and in a way that was convincing, and it is a superpower, and that goes with like negotiating for your team, talking to executives, talking to other, just any type of position of influence. It's given me confidence. It's given me so much that I can't even begin to describe what an amazing skill and asset it has been in my career for the last 10 years. Every job up until recently that I've had in the last 10 years has been a direct result. Well, I can say that about the last couple of jobs too. Have been a direct result of my, involvement in the community and my reputation that I've developed.
Yeah. I think if I were to go back and have to do it again, I think public speaking and writing are like the two skills in today's world that I use the most. And I'm not even that good of a writer, but if I were to go back and do it again, absolutely. So no, and I totally agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I think the networking side is tremendous. And that you get from public speaking, that is. So I 100% agree with you. All right. Any last final thought? I got 4 questions for you, but any last final thoughts before we wrap up? Just general David's words of wisdoms.
Well, I end every one of my talks with, you don't need permission to be awesome.
That's great.
And that's a slide that's on all my presentations. And I want to encourage people that whatever it is that you do, whatever you like to geek out about, if it's coding, for example, 99% of the world will look at what you do and think, wow, that's magic. How do you do that? How can you possibly do that?
I'm one of those.
And and the power of technology connects us with the entire world. And
Yep.
so every one of us has opportunity that we can make a positive impact on other people. And so that's what I always want to encourage people, is that use the gifts that you have to make a positive impact on your family, your community, and around the world. Don't just do the bare minimum to get by. Uh, find some purpose for what it is that you have.
I love that. I love that. Dev comes in. Dev's on the show tomorrow, y'all. But Dev goes, I could listen to David talk for hours. I know, same. And Alice goes, I have that sticker on a coffee mug to see it every morning. I love it. I love it. David, last 4 questions again. Thank you, my friend, for coming on. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being transparent. It means a lot. I love these type of conversations, so I appreciate it, man. So last 4 questions. 1, what do you do outside of work that brings you joy?
Well, I got a couple of them hanging on my wall. So I play a lot of music. I lived in Nashville for 20 years. I love music, either playing it or listening or going to live shows. But yeah, music brings an incredible amount of joy to my life.
I love that. I love that. If money were the same, money was not the issue, what would you do for your job outside of tech?
Illustrations. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If I could wave a magic wand and be able to make an equivalent income, doing illustration work, I would, I'd do that right now.
I love that. You're very talented at it. You're very, very talented at it.
Thank
Somebody
you.
who can barely draw a stick figure. You're very talented. Third question. What
I was
tools-
drawing stick. So here's another thing.
Yeah,
I was drawing stick figures 7 years ago.
Really?
I like very poorly drawn stick figures. No joke. So it is a skill that you can learn just
That's
like any other,
That's
just like
incredible,
anything
man.
else. Like, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
I always want to let people know that, what you see today is the result of a lot of practice and a lot of patience, and you can do the same thing.
2 things I didn't know about David before the show. 1, that he ate 4 pounds of bacon a day for a bit, and 2, that he started drawing stick figures, that this was not a thing. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Third question. Let's get nerdy for a quick second. Tools, technologies, frameworks, languages, something that you're messing with, reading about, that you're interested in right now.
Well, I have been doing a lot of Node.js for the last several years. Vue has become like my favorite front end framework. Okay. It just clicks for me. I know React is so super popular right now,
Right.
On the front end, but and I spent years working with React, but to me, Vue is such a pleasure to work with. It just fits me better. Yeah, that's about it, I think.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you were like the original OG Node guy in Nashville. I remember that. Whenever we used to get a role at Vaco, we're like, just call David, see if he knows anybody. It was Node. You were kind of like the original adopter of Node in Nashville. And then last question, David, as we wrap up here. Again, thank you everybody who showed up today. We appreciate it. Yes, James Quick, Dev is on the show tomorrow. I'm really excited to talk to him about his journey from college to speaking and his first job in tech. David, so the show's called Guidance Counselor 2.0 because we had guidance counselors in middle school, college, high school, but now as adults, we don't really necessarily have a guidance counselor to go to. What would be your biggest piece of career advice? I know you've said it early on, so you got to give me another piece, but what would be your biggest piece of career advice to young David outside of the public speaking thing? That doesn't count now.
Give back to the community. Public speaking is just one facet, but there are so many ways that you can get connected and involved in the community. I wish I had done that sooner. And that's what eventually led to me getting to speaking was getting involved, whether that's open source or blogging or sharing your experiences, however that looks. That is what you need to do, because people want to hear your perspective and learn what you've learned.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, y'all, thank you again for hanging out with us this morning. Appreciate it. David, stay on so I can say bye to you backstage. I hope you have a great Monday. I'll be back live in 45 minutes with my other endeavor called Startup Nash, where I interview with Kelly Griggs, startup founders in Nashville, Tennessee. But again, go connect with David. Follow him, Reverent Geek, on Twitter. David, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.